wonderful philosophy was interrupted, and you were sent to jail for 5 years and 7 months and so.
Yeah, it is.
What
they know.
That caused them that? Because
I think, you
only preached the passive resistance, peaceful way of struggle. But that led you to Kilinto and Kaliti areas.
I know. They know for sure that I have never fired a bullet in my life, and I have never acted violently against any person. They know for sure, they know it for sure, but the thing is, they do not want altogether anybody who will speak against them. The government doesn't want, or the ruling party really doesn't want anybody who speaks against it, whether it is violently or non-violently. Especially, they know how to deal with the violent means of resistance, because they were fighters themselves. They know how to fight, they know it, therefore even they prefer anybody who would take up arms and fight against them. This is a different approach that they do not really know, and they do not really know how they can do away with that kind of resistance. Therefore, they have to label you and send you to prison, and this is what they did. Otherwise, they know for sure that I was not violent, and I have never used any arms against anybody, and they know for sure that I don't have the slightest intention to do that.
And after your release, you went to the United States of America, and you were invited by OSA, the Oromo Studies Association, and there you addressed the participants that you said one word: an Oromo prisoner who returns conscious after investigation is the luckiest one. What does that mean?
Meaning, you know, in Makalawi, in the place where the investigation goes on, usually we called to the investigation place or office, usually in the middle of the night. That is one is you will be scared, and then there is all the psychological pressure, plus there is a physical pressure as well. And therefore, usually when someone's name is shouted or called, and then the moment you get out of the cell, you know, the first thing that you will face is you will face a slap right on your ears, something like that. Therefore, you know, many people who manage to get released after being interrogated in that place usually had some kind of defect in their body parts. Either one of their limbs will be broken, or they will have difficulty hearing after that, or they will have difficult sight after they are released. Therefore, what I was trying to say is that really it is a lucky person like myself who will walk out or who will get released with all his body parts without being harmed. That is what I was trying to say. I was trying to refer the psychological blow or the physical blow that every prisoner passes through. That was it.
And then you talked a lot of things there, and we'll be back to that. After you came from the States, you were again sent back to jail. And people say, Bekele Garba's word, Laftitenya, Lafitenya. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, if you go to every part of Oromia, especially those areas along the border, if you go to Bali or Hararge, for instance, Guji or Borana, and ask someone who is really living very close to that area, you will say, if you ask about that land, they will say, under this land, under this piece of land, there lies the bones and the flesh of our parents. They died fighting for it. They died fighting for it, not to give it to anybody. That is what they are still doing in many parts of Oromia. They are paying lives in bones and flesh still. That is one thing. We are there. Wherever we have a small piece of land, our blood and our flesh lies there. That is what I was trying to say. So if there is anybody who would like to take it, then he has to take out another bone and flesh. So we will never surrender it to anybody else. That was the intention. Really, it is part of us. It's part of our blood and it's part of our flesh. It's part of our bone that we can never allow anybody to take it.
That was the immediate cause for your, again, going back to Kilinto, where even that prison was lit into fire, and we were all worried that, because we know that you were there. When we were States, let me take you again back to the States in America, that you said, before we were Christians and Muslims, we were Oromo. Before we were OPDO, OLF, or OFC, we were Oromo. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, if you look at Oromos, especially mainly in the diaspora, you witness a lot of divisions amongst them. Sometimes they are divided along religious lines. Some people say, I'm a Christian, so they prefer to be where there are only Christians, and some would like to say we are Muslims, and they like to be where there are exclusively Muslims and the like, and then Wagafatas and whatever. Therefore, there is a division along religious lines. There was division along party lines. I belong to the OLF, someone would say, and then other would say, I will not go to that place because it is organized by our OFC, and then another would say, no, I will not take part in that meeting because it is organized by ODF and whatever, along party lines. And then also along geographical lines also, someone coming from different zone, and then there is a lot of divisions amongst them. But I was trying to call for the unity and just to disregard this, because it is true that before we were spread to various parts of Oromia today, our origin was one, and we were Oromo at that point. We didn't care about the land. And then we used to have one only particular Waga, and we were one.
And we
had the Gada system, and we were one. Now, as we expanded, then all the divisions came, and people really tended to forget about that Tokuma, that oneness, that unity. So I was trying to call that. Let's forget the other things. Let's forget the religion. Let's forget from which part of Oromia we've come from. Let's forget whatever differences there are, and let's focus on who we are and who we were. I was trying to call that for that Tokuma. And I think that message still must reverberate everywhere. It's very, very essential right now, because we see tendencies, of course. That division in the diaspora has made it its way now here. We see some kind of, we notice, or we began to feel some kind of differences like that. That was our fear.
All right, I want to know or understand your feeling about the political parties in the country. Oromo is one, no doubt, homogeneous nation in East Africa.
Yep.
But there are 14 political parties that represent these people. What's your comment on this?
Well, I think Well, I would like to characterize this as because of the love they have for their people. I say people tend to come up with different ideas that they think is better than the idea of another group. And when they will not be able to be accepted, they will tend to form a kind of faction and then break away from, let's say, from the mother party and then form their own party. If we have to think genuinely, this is okay. This is okay, because this is the love. For me, it indicates the love they have for their people. My way of doing things is better. You know, the right of my people will be respected in the way I think is the best. If that is the case, that's okay. This is genuine one, because of the love they have for their people. That's okay, I accept that. But if it is based on personal ego, you know, that will turn disaster. That's it. So we've got to identify. Really, we've got to identify what was the motive. What was the motive? If the motive is the one I said first, that's 100% perfect. If it is the latter one, then that will be disaster. That is the one motive that we have got to fight against. So in the near future, we will try to identify this, and the Oromo need to identify it. What are you up to? What are you looking for? What do we have? What option do you have for us? These questions need to be asked by the Oromo in general. And then all these political parties must pass through a very serious scrutiny.
Tested by the public.
Yeah, tested by the public.
Wow.
And in the run-up to the election, I think this will get clearer and clearer. Those parties who have resemblance must come together and then just try to reduce the number of parties now. In fact, I don't think that there are about 14 parties. Maybe about 6 of them I know. The others I really do not call. I'm sorry to say that, but I really do not call them parties.
BEKELE GARBA is not known only among the Oromos, but also among other nations. For instance, I remember that on the rally that was held in Gondar, the picture of BEKELE GARBA was on the front line saying Oromo Damakino and BEKELE GARBA should be released and so on and so forth. So we're returned. What feeling do you have about this?
Yeah, it is good, but the thing is,